If you're a big swim team and you like to order a lot of gear, maybe you ought to check out Swim Outlet Team Division for these reasons. Swim teams receive a 10% discount on bulk orders. Swim teams or organizations get an 8% commission on referred sales. You'll also like their customization services, which is affordable and available at all times during the year for all team gear. With over 50,000 items in stock, you can get most anything you want. Swim Outlet Team Division. You need to try it out. You'll be glad you did.
Welcome to the Morning Swim Show for Wednesday, August 21st, 2013. I'm your host, Jeff Cummings. Victoria Arlen made headlines around the world last week when the International Paralympic Committee decided to ban her from the World Swimming Championships just days before the competition started. The reason? Arlen and her family had failed to show evidence that Arlen presented, quote, a permanent eligible impairment, end quote, that would make her eligible for the competition. Joining me now on the show in the Fineissa Monitor from her home in New Hampshire is Victoria Arlen. Victoria, it's good to see you today. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thanks. I know this has been an emotional time for you and your family since you found out that you wouldn't be able to compete at the World Championships. So thanks again for taking the time to do this. Have you been surprised by the amount of media attention that has been put on this situation?
I've been very surprised. I mean, it's all been pretty shocking. This whole past almost 2 weeks has been kind of a blur. But yeah, I went away to San Diego last week just to kind of be with my family and stuff, and Good Morning America called me, and CNN and these major news networks that I'd never seen them broadcast anything to do with the Paralympics wanted to hear from me. And so that's been incredible and pretty crazy, and the amount of support I've received from all over the world is pretty remarkable.
So I would imagine you went to San Diego, like you said, to get away from all the attention and just kind of clear your head. Were you able to do that, or was your mind still on what everybody was doing in Montreal?
I mean, definitely going away helped me not hyper-focus and kind of dwell on the fact that I couldn't compete. But I was still, you train for so long and get in that mindset that's really hard when it's just all taken away so fast. So I wanted to know what was going on, but at the same time I needed to just kind of mentally shut off and get away. And I was able to do that, but there was also so much media attention and stuff that they ended up finding me out in San Diego. So a part of me could get away from it, but a part of me couldn't.
So like you said, it's been a couple of weeks since all this came about. How have your emotions about the situation changed in these past few days?
It's been hard. I mean, it's kind of been ups and downs. I think the fact was that, everything just got so out of hand and it didn't make any sense. Their reasons were not clear, and it was literally, you trained so hard, and I didn't stop after London training and sticking to, my regimen of eating and sleeping. All of that was the same, and then it's all taken away so quickly. And, I think at first it was just shock. Like, I was so shocked, and then I was devastated. I mean, I was heartbroken, and then it was just numb. You just don't realize what's going on. And now, I'm doing good. I've had so much support. I mean, Team USA has wrapped their arms around me. My family, my friends, complete strangers from around the world, and the media have wrapped their arms around me. So that's made it easier. And, I have to kind of look at it that it is just a swim meet. It's a huge swim meet that meant a lot to me, but there's people dying and starving out there. And, I'm alive today, and I have a wonderful family and wonderful friends, and I'm very blessed. So I need to just look at the positives in my life and know that it is what it is, and there's nothing I can do now but just move forward.
That's a very good outlook on it. Before we go any further, I want to kind of get viewers up to speed on your physical condition. 7 years ago, when you were 11 years old, I believe, you contracted a rare viral disease that put you in a coma for 3 years and left you paralyzed from the waist down. Is that all correct?
Yes.
Okay, so were you a swimmer before this happened?
I was a big swimmer growing up. I mean, I was a water baby. We grew up around lakes and pools, and I started competing and was doing pretty well in competitions. And then when I was 11, obviously that was no more. And then I got back into the pool for therapy reasons, and for my brothers just saying, you need to get back in and just move around in the pool, because I was too afraid to get back in the water. And then, I started learning how to maneuver around the water without the use of my legs. And, currently I've been in a wheelchair for 7 years. I've been paralyzed for 7 years. My condition, as far as the function goes, has not gotten any better. It's gotten kind of worse as far as my upper body goes. And, unfortunately, I'd like to say that it would change in the near future, but that's not the case.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk about the fact that one of the reasons that the IPC kept you out of this meet is because there were medical reports that were saying that there was a possibility, not definite, but there was a possibility that there could be some medical treatments that would allow you to walk again. So basically that was their reason for saying this is not going to be permanent. Is there really a possibility that you can walk again?
There's a possibility for everyone, I'm praying for a miracle, but basically, with all the research they're doing with spinal cord injury and, maybe with years of intense therapy and hopefully some medical breakthroughs, there's hope for a lot of people in my situation to walk again, but it's never been a definite case. As much as, I'd love for that to be true, I always have to have hope. And if I didn't have hope, I wouldn't be here today. And basically, I was penalized for having hope. And we had provided almost 100 pages of medical documents to the IPC, proving with MRIs and scans, proving my disability well beyond what most people can prove, because we just had so much documentation. And that was the crazy part, was that they took that one part of a medical document from a doctor and turned it against me. And you have to have hope. And I was kind of shocked in the fact, because I'm like, what message are we giving when you're not allowed to have hope and you're penalized for having hope? And the reality is I clearly am disabled, and that's not going to change for a very long time.
Well, as someone who's not disabled and looking at you and knowing your story, I'm surprised that you have so much hope, especially because last year for the Paralympics you also had to deal with confusion about whether or not you're going to be able to swim or not. And I know there was a moment where you thought you weren't going to swim at all, and then the IPC at almost like the last second said, okay, we're going to move you down to a different classification than you were originally in. What were your thoughts about that? Was it the same kind of situation that you're in now? Were they saying that there was this possibility you could walk, and so they were keeping you out of it?
No, that wasn't. It was completely different. They questioned me because I kind of came out of nowhere. They actually, were questioning whether I should be up or down, and I should have been lower than the class that I was currently in, because of my condition. It has gotten a little worse, and so it was mainly just getting documentation and figuring out where I belonged. And once again, it was last minute before a major meet, but in the end, there was enough proof and documentation, and I went through a 4.5-hour evaluation in and out of the pool by the classifiers that it was proven beyond reasonable doubt that I belonged where I belonged. And then this time around, they had wanted to relook at me to make sure I was in the right situation. And I had a scheduled classification appointment on Friday, August 9th at 2 o'clock, and they kept, the U.S. team kept catching up with them, because I had competed in a couple meets this past year, and catching up. Well, there's classifiers there, and they didn't question me, and they kept saying they want to look at me in Montreal. And then it was completely a 360 turn. About 3 days before I left for Montreal, they changed their mind. So it honestly, doesn't make any sense to me and to a lot of people as to how this could have happened. But they took that one piece in my medical files that said, there's a hope with medical breakthrough. And I had gone to that doctor not to prove anything to the IPC, just to make sure that I wouldn't get worse again, that I wouldn't slip into a coma again. And I asked them, I said, I'm a very hopeful person. Is there any chance that I can, get back on my feet? So maybe one day for my wedding day, be able to walk or whatnot. And he said, with medical breakthrough, he's like, I'm not, you can't say no to any spinal cord injury patient anymore, because there's so much coming out there. And that was in the reports, and they just used it against me, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know there's so much that a disabled athlete has to do in order to prove that they belong in the Paralympics and World Championships like this? There's the, I think you have to do like dry land stuff to prove your disability, and you have to do in the water tests, and in addition to providing medical documentation. So I know that there has been so much that has been done, and so much confusion among not just you but other people in the Paralympic community. And from what I understand, the IPC has said that they are reevaluating the system to classify athletes and to evaluate them. So do you look at that as a positive, or do you think there's still a lot more that could be done?
I mean, I definitely, I have the utmost respect for the IPC and the classification system. I just hope this doesn't happen to any other athletes, and that, if they do want to question you, they don't question you, days before a major sporting event, or when you're already there. I just think, it's unfortunate what happened to me, and I just don't want this to happen to anyone else, because it is so heartbreaking to be up there and ready to go, and then within 12 hours you're packing your bags and leaving. And it puts a damper on your passion for the sport. And so I think they have the correct system. I just hope this mishap doesn't happen to anyone else, and that they can make sure in the future that this won't happen to any other athlete. That's all I keep elaborating on, because no one should go through this.
I'm sure there's probably some people who are worried that they might have to go through this. So I think probably having your story go public and be getting worldwide attention, I think probably will put a focus on it. And I think the IPC, like they have said, are reevaluating their system. And I think hopefully, there's a chance that this may be the last bit of drama you have. I guess we can all hope.
I hope so. If anything, you can turn this mess into a message and help someone. That's what matters to me, is hopefully this can help or change someone's outcome for the better in the long run.
Well, I understand that during training before the meet, you had posted some times in your swims that would have won gold medals. So I'm sure it was a little disappointing to know that you couldn't, show that on the world stage. But I would imagine it's a little bit of motivation for the next big meet.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was. I mean, like I said before, when most of my teammates and competitors, they took a couple months off after London, I took a week off and then came back, and my coach was like, back to work. And right before I left for Montreal, I was clocking, world record times, and I was swimming faster than I had ever swam before and feeling wonderful. And to have gotten there and be so ready, and I was kind of a veteran on the team now, and I knew what I was doing. And to get there and be so prepared and so just ready for this, and to have put my heart and soul into this meet and this sport, and blood, sweat, and tears all year, and to have it just all kind of go away was the hardest part, because you can't, I mean, from an athlete to an athlete, you can imagine how it's just your life, and you're not out partying with all your friends. No, you're going to bed early. You're getting up at 3 a.m. to go to the pool. You're putting everything into this for this one meet, and then you get there, and it just feels like it was all for nothing. And so that was the hardest part, is I was just so frustrated with how this could have happened and why this could happen, because it made no sense to really anyone. I mean, even on the U.S. team, we all were so baffled about how this could happen and why this could happen. And I, we had such an incredible Worlds team, and I was just so excited to be with the girls and the guys and cheer them on and represent my country again. And now it was so hard to leave and just know that, like, well, what now? How has that training helped me other than for swimming? And so you have to kind of look and reevaluate things and talk to your coach and just kind of sit back and be like, okay, that door closed, but there's going to be plenty more that will open.
Yeah, again, that's a very good way to look at it. And I'm glad to see the positive outlook. It really is a great way to get through one of the toughest situations anybody could ever go through. But it signals some good things for the future, Victoria. And thanks so much for taking the time. Good luck on everything that goes on in the future, and we're looking forward to seeing you back on the world stage.
Well, thank you so much.
All right, so that's going to do it for today's edition of the Morning Swim Show. You can go to swimmingworld.com as always to find the latest news from aquatic sports and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. I'm Jeff Cummings. Thanks for watching.